Welcome to Old Spirit's first Halloween special presentation, the lead investigator's cut of TWA Flight 514. When I first edited and produced our look into this incredibly active site, the original running time was just over 90 minutes. I managed to cut it to under 55. This version not only features new footage, but our 5-minute paranormal follow-ups on this investigation. To our knowledge, we were the last team on this site, which is now private property, and this particular experience still resonates with us. We hope you enjoy this restored look at TWA Flight 514. Old Spirits will be returning with Season 2 in February 2023, but we will still continue to post 5-minute paranormals and our Christmas special coming in December. From all of us here at OSI, Happy Halloween.
Yeah, I'm trying really hard to take a deep breath and relax.
I think it might be almost time.
Hang on, I'm just going to double down.
Double down.
Are we safe here with you tonight? Green, yes. Red, no. You can be honest. Are we safe with you right now? Green, yes. Red, no.
It all started with a video game.
Where are you? Where are you?
I'm right
Where are
behind you.
Oh
I'm
my
right
God.
behind you. I'm
Okay,
right behind
okay.
you.
Oh!
During the 2020 pandemic lockdown, I invited my buddy T to join me in Phasmophobia, a heart-elevating ghost hunting experience from Kinetic Games.
What came next was a fan favorite on my Twitch channel, Phasmophobia with the Phil Rossi Scream Team, and sure, we had fun. But as we started to see the end of the pandemic, I got a call from Phil.
How would you like to do this for real?
And now, here we are. Just two dads,
Living their best life.
while investigating the afterlife. Modern aviation has known its share of tragedy and loss, but Transworld Airlines Flight 514 is a crash few remember, but carries a legacy not only redefining ground-to-air communications, but also changing the broadcast media's coverage of airline disasters. TWA Flight 514 was one of many post-Thanksgiving holiday flights scheduled to depart on Sunday, December 1st, 1974, from Indianapolis, Indiana, a brief stop in Columbus, Ohio, and finally to Washington, D.C. The flight was scheduled to land at Washington National Airport, located in Crystal City, Virginia, but due to high crosswinds from the east and heavy wind gusts preventing safe operations, TWA Flight 514 was diverted to the relatively new airport Washington Dulles International, located outside of D.C. in Dulles, Virginia. The flight was being vectored for a non-precision instrument approach to Dulles Runway 12. Air traffic controllers cleared the flight down to 7,000 feet before clearing them for an approach with TWA 514. You are cleared for a VOR DME approach to runway 12. The jetliner began a descent to 1,800 feet, shown on the first checkpoint of the charted approach. The cockpit voice recorder would reveal Flight Captain Richard I. Brock had been consulting the flight charts during descent, noting on the flight recorder an apparent discrepancy. The minimums were 3,400 feet until Round Hill, but both captain and crew agreed that their clearance from Dulles Approach Control permitted them to descend to this initial approach altitude. At 11:08 a.m., an alarm sounded briefly in the cockpit, signaling that they were now at a target altitude of 1,800 feet. Less than a minute later, the cockpit recorder captured the altitude alarm triggering, indicating deviations between 100 to 200 feet due to heavy downdrafts and reduced visibility in snow. This was followed by another alarm, warning that Flight 514 was only 500 feet above the deck. Captain Brock ordered First Officer Thomas C. Kretschik to get some power on and get back up to 1,800 feet. The cabin recorder captured the altimeter alarm sounding again, warning the cockpit crew that they were now only 100 feet above the ground. At Washington Dulles International, the tower noticed the plane's altitude was much lower than was expected. At 11:09 a.m., tower control called, "TWA 514, say your altitude." There was no response. All this happened within a span of 3 minutes of TWA Flight 514 reaching their tower-approved vector. At an approximate speed of 230 knots, 265 miles per hour, or 425 kilometers per hour, Flight 514 impacted the western slope of Mount Weather, Virginia, at an elevation of 1,670 feet. All 92 aboard, 85 passengers, and 7 crew members were killed. The National Transportation Safety Board launched a full inquiry on exactly what happened. While Dulles perceived from ground-to-air communications that Flight 514 was not on a radar approach, the flight crew believed, also based on ground-to-air comms, that they were on a radar approach and therefore understood their approach clearance meant they could safely descend to an altitude of 1,800 feet. During the investigation, it became known that the Federal Aviation Administration was aware of this persistent misunderstanding between pilots and control towers. No corrective measures were put into place until after 92 lives were lost. The legacy of TWA Flight 514 is first heard in the terminology between pilots and controllers, which has been redefined dramatically. Controllers now state, maintain a specified altitude until established on a portion of the approach. And pilots now understand that previously assigned altitudes prevail until a change is authorized on the published approach segment an aircraft is currently following. Additionally, ground proximity warning systems were not standard on airliners. By the end of 1975, all commercial aircraft flying in the United States were equipped with such systems. And finally, broadcast media outlets were compelled to take a closer look at how they cover airline disasters. 2 Indiana senators, Richard Lugar and Birch Bayh, were scheduled to be on the flight but were notably absent from the manifest. As these government officials were accounted for and no other lawmakers were present on the flight, the media reported there was no one of importance on the plane. This brought about a backlash from surviving family members of those on the flight. Also overlooked by the media among the passenger manifest was Roscoe C. Rock Cartwright, America's first African-American field artilleryman promoted to brigadier general. A highly decorated soldier, Brigadier General Cartwright's honors included 2 Legions of Merit, 3 Bronze Stars, and a Meritorious Service Medal. TWA Flight 514 is commemorated with a modest memorial honoring the flight crew and passengers, and the documentary Diverted, the story of TWA Flight 514, now playing on YouTube. On ascending Highway 601 of Mount Weather, you can catch a glimpse of the rock Flight 514 struck, decorated with crosses and offerings, a site easily mistaken for makeshift memorials to car crash victims seen across the United States. What remains of that crash site today, however, is open not only for question, but intense debate. So, I know we are on the couch again. This time we're at my house. So, expect this. Expect that sometimes we're going to be at Casa de Morris, sometimes we're going to be at Casa de Rossi.
You never know.
Yeah.
We may show up at your front door.
You know, I love that. I love that. Old Spirits, the tour. But we gotta get a little further down the road before we do, like, couch tours.
Yeah, we'll give you a chance to put the coffee on.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, we are only on episode 2 right now, but yes. I did want to ask you. I wanted to hear your thoughts. How did it feel? Episode 1. How did the pilot feel to you?
How did the pilot feel to me? The experience of watching the pilot was incredible. Okay, that felt great.
Okay.
But if I'm being 100% honest with you.
You can be honest. And remember, language.
Yes.
Language.
I was pretty uncomfortable at first.
That's so funny.
I was uncomfortable. I was out of my zone.
You
because
were fine. You were
I got
fine.
there. I got there.
You were
But
fine.
I'm an audio guy.
Yeah.
Do not spend a lot of time in front of a camera. And then I had 3 cameras in front of me.
And a very stiff drink, apparently.
Yeah,
I found out
yes.
later. I found
Yes.
out later you had a very stiff drink ahead
Well, and
of
that's
you.
the thing too. When you're doing video, I mean, when I'm recording a podcast, if I screw up, I just clap or snap, and
right,
then
right.
and that's
Look,
it.
a lot of stuff did wind up on the cutting room floor, and I have a feeling that some stuff is going to wind up on the cutting room floor again with this one, mainly because we have so much video to pull from this.
Right.
What got us to the crash site of TWA Flight 514?
So back this must have been the tail end of last winter, when I had done several Don't Turn Around episodes by that point, and I was experiencing the itch, the desire to get out there and do some investigations. It was before we had really even talked about it, where I started trying to figure out, are there any places that are close by that I can maybe go to during the daytime to check out. And TWA crash site came up pretty much immediately, and I was intrigued by the ghost stories that were coming out of there. Did not look too much into the history of the crash until before we went out there.
See, I was just the opposite. I did the history first, and then I heard I think the most famous ghost story is the one where the trucker picks up the pilot, and the pilot basically mumbles as sitting next to the trucker. They gave us clearance, or something like that. That's one of the famous ghost stories coming from there.
It's a great ghost story.
But the history of this crash, and I tend to gravitate to this type of stuff. The different airline crashes, engineering disasters, that sort of thing. But I honestly didn't know this. And the site, I remember Pip and I drove by the site, and I thought I saw the crosses, I saw the flags, and I said, oh, there must have been a really bad car accident there or something. Yeah. But that outcropping of rock, which is still singed, you can see like where the jet fuel had hit it. I mean, I had no idea that this had happened.
Yeah, well, that's what's interesting too, because when I initially kind of put it on the list, it just didn't dawn on me to look any further into it or even consider at what point we would go out there. And it wasn't until one of the guests that I had on the show mentioned it and said, oh, if you're looking for local places, you should check this spot out. And then that brought it to the forefront again. And that's when I mentioned to Tina, I said, hey, there's this location that's not far. I think it would be cool for us to go out and maybe do an investigation there. And she said, well, before you do it, we should probably go check it out to make sure how we can get into the site, make sure it's accessible. And so we hatched a plan to go out there. It was a weeknight. It was like a Tuesday night. And said, well, we'll just go out there before sundown. We can look around and get the lay of the land. Well, if you're familiar at all with the mountains and how sunset works when you're in the mountains, it comes a little bit earlier than
it's like
timeanddate.com.
Yeah. It's like throwing a switch.
So by the time we got up there, I mean, it was full dark. But we were out there, so we said, well, let's get out of the car. We'll check it out. And I was very much wrapped up in being on the side of the road and what I was doing with my camera and if my recorder was on. And so I wasn't fully present in the moment. But then I did notice.
What that's like.
Yes.
I know what that's like.
We probably
we discussed that several times.
And I think we'll do a 5-minute paranormal.
We do
need
to do. Yeah, absolutely.
But I noticed that Tina was pretty quiet. She hadn't said much, and I checked in with her and it seemed like she was starting to not really feel well. And at the same time, we're looking at what people come and leave on the roadside there by way of memorial for the crash victims. So there's flowers and crosses, as you mentioned. And then there was a handwritten note. And I think the note, even if I remember correctly, was dated from that previous November. Right, so it's July 2021, so I think it was November 2020.
Because it was still out there when we went there, I remember.
And
it had been treated with something to, I guess.
Must have been.
Yeah,
it must
it
have
had
been.
to have been. Right.
But what was really strange was I couldn't read the note. And it's not because I was emotional or because I was scared at that moment, but it was almost like a haze had come over me.
Mm-hmm.
And it seemed like the letters were changing places and moving around, and it was so just disorientating being out there that we finally decided it was time to go. It just felt really strange, really off. And yeah, so we left. But what's funny is I thought we had been there for about 30 minutes on that roadside, and we had only been there for 5 minutes.
Okay.
And Tina was quiet for most of the first part of the ride back until she kind of started to feel better again. And she said right away that just, it did not feel like we were welcome there.
So when you called me, it was at the beginning of the day. I remember you called me and you said, we're heading out to this crash site and we want to know if you want to come with us. And this time you did pick me up. We were, as we're going, right before we went out there, I want to say you told me about the documentary TWA Diverted, the story of Flight 514.
Because that night when we got back, that's when we knew we needed to know more about this spot, and we started Googling, and the Diverted documentary came up, and we watched it that night.
And I watched it right before we went out there.
Yeah.
Right before we went out there. And it was the outcropping of rock. I remember when I was watching Diverted, I was like, we've driven by that several times, Pip. And then when we got out there, I'm like, yeah, this is it. And so we pushed through the thicket of trees. And that's that.
And by we, that's kind of the royal we in this scenario.
Because I remember pushing through the thicket with you. I think it was Tina who was like, "Yeah, there's a path around here."
Oh, did you follow me?
I followed you because you are the glorious leader of the Phil Rossi Scream Team.
Me.
I followed you in because I remember Tina coming around from the other side, and I'm like, okay, so this is how it's going to go.
And honestly, I mean, how many investigations in and you still have not learned your lesson?
I have not learned my lesson.
Continue to follow me.
I have not. It's out of loyalty and love, Phil.
Yeah, I know. I can feel it. I feel it every time.
Okay, I want you to remember that when I'm crawling over you, going get out of my way, Rossi. This thing is coming after us.
This doesn't feel like love anymore.
So the only way I can describe the actual crash site, which I don't think it's now that I've done even more research, the crash site covers a distance in an area that's roughly 2 football fields.
Right, because you think the plane was coming in 100 miles per hour.
Actually,
I mean,
240 some odd miles.
So
an hour.
it was moving.
It was moving.
It was moving. It hadn't slowed down for that final approach yet. It was hitting pretty much at full speed for that altitude, and so that, as you mentioned, that debris field just extended for
for
2
yards for 2 football fields. And the thing is that where we were just surrounded by trees. We were just surrounded by trees, except for this one area. And I remember actually taking a photograph from the ground straight up with my iPhone, and I'm like, I'm standing in a fairy circle.
Yeah.
That's the only way I can describe it. It basically is just this giant clearing. But the one thing I remember standing out like a sore thumb in this nearly perfect circle that we were standing in was this large, I don't want to say tree trunk, because it really wasn't a tree trunk. It was more like the remains of a tree.
Yeah.
And I remember the tree looked singed. Mm-hmm. And I also remember the angle of that top part. It was a clean cut.
Yeah, and this was a good sized tree.
It was huge.
When that plane came in, that was already that was an old tree. I mean, let's face it, all the trees on that mountain were old at the time.
Right.
I mean, this is one of the oldest mountain ranges, if not part of the oldest mountain range in the entire world. This is old land.
Right.
Which we'll talk about that a little bit later as well.
Yeah. And so we go into the middle of this, and we crack into the gear, and again, this is where we have to talk about what we brought.
Let's break it down.
So let's break it down. we brought Simon. We brought back the Flux 2, and I'm gonna say my thought about that in a minute. So we brought that in. I had my video camera, which we're really gonna dive into in this episode because we touched a bit on the cheapness of it.
Yeah.
We're gonna bring that up, especially in this one. You had your camera as well.
Yeah, I had my camera as well, which is still with us today. It's still going.
Good on you. We had two H4s.
Two H4s.
What else do we have?
We had an H1N.
Right.
We had the Evistar L157 digital recorder.
Coming up on a 5-minute paranormal.
That's right.
And your new investment.
This was the debut of the REM pod.
Right.
So this was.
That's going to be a future 5-minute paranormal, isn't it, Phil?
Yes, it is.
Okay, good. And so that was, I think that was the. Oh, and then we had the K2 meter.
We had the K2 meter as well.
So already our gear had grown a bit, and that idea of, okay, we're going to film as much as we can this go around.
Yeah.
So I feel like I need to preface this by talking a little bit about the performance of Simon at Belgrove. Simon went off once. He went off once, maybe twice the entire night.
Yeah.
And it was a bit anticlimactic.
Yeah.
But I'm just going to come out and say it. I think Simon was the MVP.
Yeah.
He was the MVP.
If we're strictly talking gear, right?
Yeah.
If we're strictly talking device to measure response or activity,
right?
Then Simon walked home with that trophy.
If
Simon had legs. Which
I honestly felt like you and Tina, because it was the three of us there at the crash site. I felt like you and Tina were just watching me at some points, going, "He looks so happy."
Yeah, well, and I think I even said that to Tina at one point, that I was just so pleased for you. So that made me feel good.
So, first clip of the night. This is what I would call the establishing shot. This is what, if you are looking into this, and you've probably heard like, hey, isn't this the thing he talked about on his 5-minute paranormal? The answer is yes. And this is you're going to see a lot of the Flux 2 in action, but this is basically how you set it up. And what you're going to see in this clip is that I found what looks like a well pipe, and it was the best flat surface that I could set the Flux 2 on. And this is how you basically set it up. If I come up to this, it's a little bit of show and tell.
When you come up to it, if you come up on the other side, it does this.
And you notice how close I'm getting to this.
So I'm going to back over here. And I want to see if you can do that.
You can actually
You're
hear
making
the
the
REM
red light
pod.
go off.
Yeah, he's heard the REM pod.
I'd like to see if you can make the red and green light go off. Could you do that for me?
And there it goes. That was the green light going off.
Was that after you had just set it up?
After I just
What
set it
about
up.
the red light? Can you make the red light go off? I know you can do it, but thank you for that. If you can make the red light go off, you and I can have a conversation.
See, this is one of the things you have to do with the
What do you
Flux
think?
2, is you have to basically set up the parameters.
Yeah.
Not just
Can you make the red light
calibrating
go
it,
off?
but also setting up questions and explaining to whatever's there with you, this is how it works.
Yeah.
And already it's gone off more times than it did at Belgrove.
And it didn't take long for it.
Not really, not at all. I think we'd been out there maybe
If you
5,
want
10,
me to
Yeah.
back
5, 10
away,
minutes.
I can back away if you make the red light go off.
And there it goes.
And there it goes.
And there it goes.
And of course, you two were not there to see that. The red light just went off.
So that is once you establish that the device is working and that whatever is there, whatever entity is there, you kind of have to test the waters and say, okay, you've made the green light go off. Can you make the red light go off? And then once that happens, then you can start establishing trigger questions.
And just to piggyback on that too, I think also what instantly makes this clip and this interaction compelling is that, and again, we're not saying definitively that this is what was happening, but the fact that you said, green light goes off, and then you come back around and you say, okay, if you do the red light, I'll back up, and the red light goes off. So it's compelling.
It is compelling. It is very compelling. And for the entire day, this was what I was focusing on. I was focusing on trying to really figure out how the Flux 2 works. Is it, had I made an investment in a lemon, or was this thing really working?
Did I make a mistake?
That's the thing. Did I make a mistake? And I think what just amazed me about the performance of the of the Flux 2 was how responsive it was to not just me, but to all three of us, like right here. My friends Phil and Tina are very happy that my device is working. Wow, thank you.
So nice.
That is very kind of you.
Would you be
We asked if he can go up there.
open to trying another device if I brought it close by?
Green for yes, red for no.
You're going to hear that a lot in this episode. Thank you so much for doing that.
I know. That's awesome.
That was really awesome. And you'll notice too that when the flux is going off, you'll hear the rapid beeping. That basically means that it's detecting something getting closer and closer and closer to the device. And one of the things that I've been trying to do through this entire investigation, because it is one of the things that I think is the challenge of this investigation, is we were outdoors. And I just wanted to make sure there was no insects, nothing crawling on it that was triggering it off. And as you can see in the video, there's nothing there.
Yeah, and when you first played that for me too, and it was the rapid escalating beep, because we're accustomed to hearing that sound on investigations when we're getting set up or moving stuff around.
Right.
And I was waiting for that was me. I was waiting for that. And it didn't come. And I had to process that for a minute. Because that was quite the response.
And it was responding to the fact that I had been there. Tina had taken a couple of shots, walked away. Tina, of course, our official photographer of Old Spirits. Make sure to follow her on Christina Rossi Photography. I got that right, didn't I?
Yes, you did. You got yourself points, and maybe I got some points by proxy.
There we go. Even better. Even better. But but yeah, I mean that was the thing. Is suddenly the flux was the star.
And before you start this next clip too, if that was a bug that was approaching it, because it would have to be on approach.
It would have to be a hornet.
It would have to be one big ass bug.
Yeah, exactly.
And we would not have sounded as happy. We'd have been like.
But this is one of the things that I do think we should.
That's my oh my gosh, it's a giant bug face.
Right, exactly. But this is where I feel like we should have a discussion about is outdoor investigations. This is the problem that I know you think that I am adverse to them. To some extent, I am, because you're not in a controlled environment like you would like Crescent or like Dunlora. It's you're out in the elements.
Right. Absolutely. And
the advantage
though.
But what are the advantages though?
Well, and this is again, and it all comes down to how you individually are approaching any given investigation. And for me, I just find a certain magic with the wilderness investigations. There's just such a power to nature that for me, while I accept that there's a lot more variability out there, I might not get the clearest audio, for example.
Right.
But at the same time, using the first tool I was ever given for investigating, which is my body and my senses, it's such a great subjective experience for me, and I find that on the wilderness investigations, I'm able to be particularly present in those moments.
It's just, when it comes to technology and outdoors, it's always a crapshoot.
Yes.
And going back to the flux, I will say that I don't think it was anything like gnats or bugs or anything. I saw nothing crawling around these things. It was perfectly fine, standing on its own. And like you said, there's that moment of, okay, that was me, and it never came. Never came. Yeah. And never came. And then so all three of us are here. We're hanging out with the flux, and we had this little exchange. Not only did I think that the MVP of this particular investigation was Simon, but I think Tina was a favorite. Tina was a favorite because we'll let the clip do the speaking for us.
Maybe you feel crowded or under a little pressure with 3 people standing here. That's fine. Thanks for making that go off while I was here. But I'm going to give you guys some space. Spirit seems very comfortable with the 2 of you. I'm just going to go back over here.
Do you want one of us to move away? Green for yes, red for no.
So the higher tone is green.
I'm gonna let Phil stay. I've talked to you enough. Are you okay talking to my friend Phil over here? Trust me, he's a good guy. He is such a good guy.
I'm a PR agent.
So
even
can we have you talk to Phil?
All true.
Green for yes, red for no.
He might even sing to you if you're nice.
I shouldn't put that kind of pressure on you.
Green for yes.
I should not
Red for no.
put that kind of pressure on you.
Lesson learned. I did not sing, for the record.
Do you want just the guys to be here with you? Green for yes, red for no. We want to know which person you want to leave so you have enough space and feel comfortable, since you want one of us to leave. Do you want me to leave? Green for yes, red for no.
Do you want me to walk away? Green for yes, red for no.
And I would say this is the biggest challenge of the flux in the field. You have to wait. You have to
walk away.
You have to be really patient. Wait for those responses.
Red for no.
They're worth the wait. They're worth the wait.
They are.
And you'll see why in just a second.
Since we didn't get an answer, I'm going to step away and leave you with these 2 nice gentlemen. Is that okay? Green for yes, red for no. Okay, I'm going to walk away just because we didn't get an answer. That's okay.
I think you want you to come back.
Sorry.
I was really impressed with how responsive it was to Tina, because it was doing a lot of talking. I remember one point during the investigation, I was standing over where you were, and it was just Tina and Simon, and apparently there was a conversation happening over there.
They were vibing.
Yeah, they were enjoying the vibe. So on this clip, again, painting the scene, Tina and I are over here in the flux. Phil, you're over by the remains of that tree.
So yeah, I was kind of off to. So if you're facing into the clearing,
And I do have EVPs coming up of yours because there was some stuff.
there was stuff.
Yeah.
See what's hard to capture in this video, just due to the linear nature of a video, is there was so much evidence being captured concurrently.
Yeah.
There was a lot happening all at once, and while they're having their responses, I'm sitting over there and I'm doing some EVP sessions, but I'm hearing things move around me. I'm seeing things out of the corner of my eye. At one point, I felt like someone had stepped right behind me while all of this is going on over with you guys and the flux. It was unreal.
Active.
It was unreal.
I would say the overall vibe of the place we were at of this circle, it wasn't. There was nothing malicious. There wasn't anything foreboding, evil. It did feel very sad. It felt very heavy.
I felt that there was a heavy sadness and there was a sense of loneliness, and there was a sense of confusion.
A sense of loneliness. Yeah. So, but I'm setting the scene here because you can actually hear off in on the other side of this. You can actually hear your REM pod going off, and you're having your moment, and there's a lot of because there's your investigation happening over here, and Tina's and my investigation happening over here, but we're still within eye and earshot of one another. There's a lot of overlap I'm noticing, and you'll see it here too.
Seems to be responding to you way more. Turning up the sensitivity of my mic, just in case.
Was that you who set off the REM pod just now? The machine with the red top and the antenna? Green for yes, red for no.
That's quick.
Yeah. That was the other thing that was extremely. I don't want to say unsettling, but just thrilling.
Yeah.
The fact that it was like, was that you that set off the REM pod? Nope.
I was like, no, because I'm right here.
Yeah.
Because I'm standing right next to you.
and that's the thing is that there were some of the responses were extremely quick.
Yeah.
And again, I really believe that I'm starting to wonder if our wives are like spirit whisperers. Because they love talking to Pip, and apparently they also want to talk to Tina.
I'm going to ask again. Do you want us to leave? Green for yes. Red for no.
Yep.
And then that.
Well, it just said no here. It just said no here.
Did you hear the REM pod just went off too?
Yep.
Would you rather not talk to the boys?
Here it comes.
Would you rather have the young lady in our presence talk to you?
Instantly.
Boom.
Yeah. Yes. Man. We want the hot Colombian here.
Yeah, I've got to watch out for the living and the unliving. Apparently. I got people threats that I can't even see.
That's like the stealth stalker right there. You know, I mean, and what that's a fantastic clip because that also shows the overlapping of what was happening. I mean,
well, because I love you got me saying I just heard an audible voice say no,
and then that thing goes
that
off.
went off, and then you hear the REM pod go off,
and then hey, do you want Tina to come over here? Yes. You know, I mean, full on. Now, speaking of your investigation, so this was
we'll call it my My part of the
You're part of the investigation. Your segment, if you will. This was our perspective. Was watching.
Yeah, which I like that we have these shots. I like that we were so good about the cameras on this one.
And that's one of the value. I think that's part of the value of when you're investigating. You want to make sure that you are, which is why that's part of the comfort of having a reality TV show that goes into paranormal investigation is you've got cameras everywhere.
Cameras.
And if you're filming, the more you film, the more you have a chance of really collecting some impressive stuff. And I'm thrilled. I had no idea you had this much video on you. When you were sending me all this video...
I had no idea I had this much video either, if I'm being perfectly honest with you, team.
Well, so here in this video we're about to watch, this is your perspective on it.
Yeah.
You had found the perfect rock.
Nice little resting
rock for the brand new REM pod and the K2. And is that the Eva Star? Or is
that's the Eva Star.
Okay. But what I love about this particular clip is you get a perspective. And you'll see what I mean when we play it.
There's not many places to sit. Well, I'm just going to walk a little bit. Maybe feel better if I'm on this side.
Yeah, I told you, Phil.
Okay,
you caught 3 EVPs, not 1, 3.
I'm having a T. Morris moment that all of my hair...
And that's where we were standing. That's where we were standing.
All of my hairs just stood on end, and it's literally up on the back of my neck at this moment.
Buffering. It's buffering, isn't it? It's buffering.
Here's the thing. Every hair on my body is buffering at this
body's
moment.
buffering.
Yeah, my body and mind are buffering.
My body and my mind are buffering.
I have been for months and months trying to determine what that first EVP was saying, the one that's kind of almost melodic, because that was one of the first ones I caught. I didn't even have my headphones on at the time when I heard that one.
Now, I'm going to say, I think a lot of the EVPs that we capture in here, they're going to sound better with headphones. And
that is a fact.
But
that is a fact.
There are going to be some, though, that are going to pop, like fine, and if you're not wrong.
It's better over here.
And it's if you're not wrong. I'll play it again. I'll play it again. Hold tight.
That was a very intense moment.
I like surprising you like this.
I think it works for the show.
Maybe feel better if I'm on this side.
I'm amazed you missed those. I swear you're the EVP whisperer, and here I am picking up those two. Yeah. And I was
does it keep going?
Yeah. Well, that's just it.
Okay.
Well, the reason I left that tag on was to show because people would be like, well, that could have been T and Tina. No, but that's how far off we were.
So a couple things that I think are worth mentioning.
Okay.
Just for anyone that's out there considering doing this. And it's much like with audio production as well. You might, just by the nature of the way our brains work, you get so focused in on one element. Like I was so focused in on that female voice that...
It's better over here, That one?
Yeah, that I probably just was so focused on that because it jumped out and slapped me right in the face that... my ears weren't trying to pick up anything else.
Right.
And then I had listened to it so many times that, again, my ears were just tuned to that and trying just to figure out what it was saying, but also at the same time, there are a couple voices that I heard on my recordings, and I'm getting the chills thinking about it because I almost, in hearing these voices, felt connected to whoever, like, those voices belong to.
Well, one of the things we have to remember about this particular haunting, because that's what this is a haunting, is that the voices that are here, it's not like at the caretakers, for example. It's not like at the caretakers of Belgrove where it's like one person or two people. 92 people lost their lives in this spot. 92.
Yeah.
So it stands to reason that if spirits do exist, if there are such things as ghosts, if there are such things as hauntings, as we're showing here, and this is also something I'm not going to cash in on any of the big kahunas of paranormal investigation, but I'm watching how they react when they get like a knock or they get an EVP. And here we are in this clip, and we get like 3 in one shot. And I'm just like, what are we doing, man? Why hasn't Discovery called us yet? Because, the thing about these other two, that fine, if you're not wrong, those things just popped up. All I did was I did not do any kind of changing of the levels. And I know you really had to massage the audio to get that it's better on this side.
I barely
really?
tweaked that. I rolled off the low end for like the wind rumble, and I adjusted the high end, and beyond that, I did nothing more than just bump the volume a little bit.
And see, all I did was bump the volume on those last two. So yeah, I mean there's a lot of activity happening here. There's a lot of activity happening in this spot, and that wasn't the only 3 that you caught. Here's.
I don't know if I can handle this anymore at this stage.
Someone just come join us over in this area. We're really happy to spend time out here with you.
Now I got a question about that particular EVP. Did you actually hear it in real time or no?
Heard nothing there. We were commenting on that. I thought I was kind of feeling some raindrops. We don't address that we heard someone yell because I'm just about 100% confident that if I heard someone yelling, I would have instantly been worried that it was one of the nearby property owners like yelling at us to get the F off their property.
Right.
Yeah, I did not hear that, but I caught it on the camcorder microphone and the recorders that I had running.
And yeah, so one of the things I will say about these 92 souls that were here was that they all had some kind of sense of humor. Some of them, and I think that might be a way to combat whatever heaviness that's there, because they did. A lot of them had a sense of humor. There were 2 moments. Tina, I remember, she was with me on one of them, but this was one. Actually, no, I take that back. Tina was actually present for both of the times that the ghost got a little snarky with me, like right here,
We're sorry that they're going to build houses here. I don't think it's right. I don't think it's right either. But I'm enjoying this conversation with you. I'm going to be listening. Oh, I'm too old to do that. I'm too old to do that. Did you think I was too old to try to squat? Green for yes, red for no. It's okay, you can be honest with me. I'm a grown adult. If you don't know, I'm 53. I'll be 53 this year. So if you thought that was too old for me to do, just say, no, you don't think? Okay. I could be talking to Brigadier General, oh no.
That's both lights.
Yeah, it's both lights going off. It's both lights now.
I feel like now you're having a laugh at me. You're having a laugh at me. Yes? It's all right. I don't take it personally. There are some things I just can't do. You know what I mean?
No.
Okay. Are you getting closer to this?
So yeah, that was it. That I think this was what I was hoping for
At Belgrove.
at Belgrove.
Yeah.
And instead, I got it at TWA. But I think one of the biggest things that's different about this setting versus Belgrove was, if you remember, Belgrove, it was that tight little landing where I had it, and then when we were in our room, I had it right next to the fireplace.
Right. So there wasn't much space for.
That would be the one thing I would say about the Flux. You need to have space for it to work and for it to work properly. So, one of the other things that was happening was you were collecting EVPs as well. You had the Evistar going, and you had the you said you had the H4 going as well, right?
So I had the Evistar going, I had the H4 going, and I had the H1N going. And what's nice about the H1 and the H4 is that they have the stereo mic. So basically, if you've ever seen one of these recorders, I know you have.
Yep.
If you guys out there have not, well, there's one right here.
Right.
So the mics are in this X configuration, so you get a stereo image. And so what that means is you have two channels, right and left. And that was a mechanism for me to basically validate some of the EVPs I was getting, because in some cases they were louder in the channel that was opposite from the direction that you guys were in. So there'd be a channel where you guys and your conversations and interactions were louder in that channel, right? So because you were on that side of the clearing and the EVPs were coming from the other side. So that. And
one of the things I was going to mention earlier was that I try to listen to the video audio track, native audio track. Mm-hmm. And yeah, in some cases the microphones are great, but as good as my cameras are, their audio is just not as good as the stuff that's caught on the H4. Right. So what I try to do is I try to take my H4 audio and combine it with the video that I capture. I see. And I layer it. I do. I layer it. I sync it up. And then I take out the native video audio and I put in the H4.
Yeah. So I did that for some of the clips that I sent you where I swapped it out. And that's the thing. With the H4, you've got the stereo image. And then the mics that we have on our cameras, they're unidirectional. Right. That means it's only going to pick up audio from the direction
that's directly in front of you.
In. Right. Though sometimes when you get that clear EVP out of the camera audio, you're like directly in front of me.
Yeah, exactly. Well, the very first one, that very first no, and then get out from Belgrove. Yeah. That was the native camera. Yeah, that was the native audio. That was the native camera's microphone. Yeah. So I was like, okay, but the point. Well, I think the point we're getting at is that that's why you have video and separate audio gear going, because sometimes you'll catch something on the video's native audio track. Sometimes you'll catch it using the H4, and if you can combine the two, which we've done in some of these clips, that's like primo, because you got the audio and the video. Now this particular clip, we have just audio, but this was one of the EVPs that you came back with. EVPs that you brought back, I remember.
Yeah, because that, again, the what am I going to do jumped out. Again, that was when I first heard it. I had done no manipulation to the audio. Now I heard something else in there as well beyond the what am I going to do, but I didn't do much to tease it out. Honestly, just to be able to get the content ready for the episode. And so I'm glad that you spent a little more time on it, because again, sometimes, and this is one of those moments, and I actually do feel a little emotional right now, that, oh my God, it cuts really cuts you.
Well, I mean, yeah, but I mean, it's been one of the things that's been said over and over again about Flight 514. There was no reason for it to have happened.
No.
And in the book Sound of Impact, They go into the detail of how not only was this a tragic event, but that it could have been prevented because there was a United flight only a few weeks earlier that was in the exact same situation as Flight 514, and they reported it, and the FAA just said, "Yeah, we'll get to it."
Yeah.
I mean,
Clearly they
it
did not.
boggles the mind. It boggles the
But
freaking mind.
when I hear that voice, I mean, in conjunction with the other voice, which
Yeah.
when I first had heard that, it was a lot to process in that moment. And then hearing the "oh my God," I mean, there's these. I would say these are Class A EVPs. Right here.
I would say Class B.
Okay, Scully. But I'll tell you why I would say Class A. Because you can hear the voice.
And you can hear the timbre and the emotion. That's
and you
true.
can hear the emotion. And if I've got an EVP making me feel emotional, I'm going to slap him.
These are Class A's. This guy's a Class A hole. So, you know. No, but here's another one. Here's another EVP that you picked up. Again, you really stayed within. It was funny how Tina and I were kind of gravitating around the around the flux and that one area. You had an entirely different experience near that tree.
Yeah.
And this was another one you picked up by there.
Were you one of the passengers on Flight 514?
And I'm over here.
So, yeah, it was just this high. It almost sounded like a child's voice to me.
Yeah.
That one. Again, it's, I would say that's not a Class A. And that's one you'll probably pick up better if you're watching this with headphones on.
Right.
But that was one of the after-the-fact discoveries. I picked that up this week when I was pulling stuff together for the show.
Yeah, one of the things that I will also say that I think this experience of taking all this evidence that we've been collecting since last summer and starting to put it into this episodic format, I've gone back and I've rediscovered stuff that and maybe it's and I think it is still very important that when you're done an investigation, you go right in. You're like, I want to listen to the evidence. I want to get into it. I want to go through it. But I also think there is a value that after you've done that fresh from the investigation, it's not a bad idea to go back to it a couple months later and then say, well, let me listen to it again.
Yeah.
Because,
even a week or two later.
Yeah.
Or you got to give your ears a break, right?
Right.
Let your ears rest and also let your bias kind of settle back down.
But I think another thing that makes TWA very different from any other place that we've gone to is the fact that so many lives were involved.
Yeah.
I mean, these were 92 lives. It's not, and if you think about it, like when you go to Dunlora, when you go to maybe Crescent, you have a, if it's a prison, if it's an asylum, if it's a battlefield like Gettysburg, then you're going to have a lot of people involved. But this is a concentrate. It's like Gettysburg in one respect.
Yeah.
It's very concentrated in one spot.
And what is also, interesting, it's probably the wrong word for it, but in a place like Crescent or at the asylums, and I'm not taking away from the tragedies that happened in these places and the lives that were lost, but it was lives lost over the span of years, where here, this was almost 100 lives that were lost in an instant.
And they never saw it coming.
And they were in an instant.
Yeah. The only people that saw it coming were the pilots, and even then, they were like, we have a problem.
Yeah.
We have a problem. And by the time they figured that out, and I think that I think this clip in particular was my moment.
Okay.
Was my, and the difference was that yours happened when you went back and heard that, oh my God, what am I going to do? Mm-hmm. This was in the moment with me and Tina and the reaction from Simon here.
Do you have friends from the flight that are with you here right now? Green for yes, red for no. Do you have family that's with you?
They got friends. They've got friends.
That one struck me.
Yeah.
That one struck me.
And you could hear it in your voice.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you can hear
It's
it.
just it. That was when I was, and suddenly I felt I did not feel alone. And what I mean by alone is that there's you, there's me, there's Tina, and we're in this clearing. But when that happened, I that was where I felt the second most strongest presence. We're going to talk about the strongest presence a little later.
Yeah.
But yeah, that one hit pretty hard. Now this experience, this is the first time this has ever happened to me on an investigation, and again, only our second time out as a team. And I was so excited for this to happen because, you probably know what this is, and if you don't, you'll figure it out once you see it happen. Okay. But in a weird way, it has nothing to do with the flux. It's got nothing to do with Simon. But you'll see what goes on here. And I'm still trying to figure out what happened, what caused this.
I feel like you're sending me mixed signals now. Do you want... I'll wait until it resets. Wait. Do what?
You hear that buzzing sound?
Yeah.
We're going to get to that buzzing sound in a
The
second.
rock is there, which means they were coming in from this direction. Hey, Tina. Come over to where I'm standing. Come over to where I'm standing.
I should have said please. Very rude of me.
That's what I want. Okay. I
was so excited when she said that.
It is cooler here, isn't it? Phil?
Oh, I was doing the spirit box.
You can get closer. It's okay.
Yeah.
I'm not going to hurt you. I'm not going to hurt you at all.
I just did a crossfade because Tina went to go get
If you are making it cooler,
a
thank you.
temperature gun.
It's been a really hot summer this year.
And I was asking Tina to just check the place out. Yeah.
It's 74 over there.
It's 70 there, 59 there.
68.
That's crazy.
When you get closer, take me down there. Oh, okay, back and look.
And then Simon was like, "No,
Yeah.
no, you need to give me some space here." And and the other thing too is that when Tina was reading off the different degrees, she said 59 over there, 70 over here, 68 here, and when she said that, the green light went off again.
Yeah.
And the other thing about the flux is that it also gauges temperature change.
Yeah.
And when it goes green, it usually means it's getting cooler,
Right.
which I just find absolutely fascinating because the whole thing about cold spots, I'm like, well, you could be standing in a draft, you could be doing this, you could be doing it, and that's one of the problems with being in a controlled environment. But when you're out in nature and there's a pocket of, how does that work?
Well,
how does that
and
work?
the fact that there was a 59-degree pocket.
Yeah.
And there are a couple times when I was floating around in that area where I felt just these cold spots.
Right.
That were, 3 feet to the left and it feels warm. And then you move 3 more feet to the left and it's chilly.
So I was pretty tickled. Okay, so during that clip though, you heard that buzzing sound, right? You heard the Okay. So I'm going to play a couple more clips. And it's more about the audio, and I want you to hear the audio.
I feel like you're sending me mixed signals now.
So this is the clip
Do
again.
you want... I'll wait until it resets. Right?
And you hear that.
Yep.
That rhythmic buzzing. Okay. When I was reviewing this video, I was convinced I was picking up a residual haunting, an EVP of a cockpit alarm going off.
Yeah.
I even did a search for cockpit alarms.
I was searching too.
In the 1970s
Yeah.
because I was hearing that. Yeah. Okay, so going to throw this out here to you. There is a slight teaser in this full clip that I'm about to play. You're going to see 2 clips, that buzzing sound from the TWA site, and then you're going to see a third clip, and I'm just going to sit and let it play, and I'm going to explain why this is the art of debunking right now on episode 2.
I feel like you're sending me mixed signals now. Do you want... I'll wait until it resets. Wait. The what? The rock is there, which means they were coming in from this direction. Is that enough space for you to get closer to it? Green for yes, red for no.
There it is
There it
again.
is again. Yep.
So I'm convinced at
It
this
says
point.
this is close enough. I can
Got
back
something.
up
Got
there.
something here.
Got
Good.
something here.
Got something here. That's a cockpit alarm. I am convinced.
Go
of
ahead,
that.
get a little closer.
But now we're going to
And
time.
you had me convinced too.
But now we're
you
going
can
to
do
time.
that.
We're going to do some
You
time
get
travel.
closer. You make more noises with it.
We're about to time travel, everybody. Hang on.
Let's hang on to your seats. Keep your arms in the car.
Yeah.
Are you still here?
Not a cockpit alarm.
This is not a cockpit alarm. This is instead the buzzing sound of my cheap ass camera, which conked out at Crescent.
Yes, on this.
That is on this haunting. I was so angry at that damn camera because it performed fine at.
If you're not here anymore, we can just leave.
And-
We're leaving in a little while anyway.
Yeah.
And this
So if
is
you have nothing
why.
to say, that's fine.
This is what I'm going to say about this is that if you think oh wow I've caught this sound it's got to be because it had that sound of a cockpit alarm
yeah.
but if I couldn't find an exact match.
Right.
None of the stuff that I found was an exact match, but in the words of my partner Fox Mulder here, I want to believe. But then when I heard it at Crescent, I'm like, oh my god, it's the camera. And the camera wound up conking out. Sadly,
It did.
At this.
Didn't make it through that investigation.
No, it did not. In fact, it didn't even make it 3 months because this was in October and that was August. So August, September, not even 3 months. Not even 3 months. I had that camera.
And that's the thing, it's
When you invest in economic gear, it's economic for a reason.
right, and that's the thing too. I feel you can get a decent camera for $100, and then you could buy the same exact $100 camera from the same manufacturer, and it'll be a lemon. Because I think one of the issues is at that cost point, I think the quality control is not of the highest.
No, it is not.
Standards. Because, and I don't want to curse it, but my $99 camera,
Knock wood.
still going. I probably shouldn't have said that when we were using it to film this episode. But
All right, Phil. Now, we're gonna part the curtain, go behind the scenes here. We do have a live audience, and I bring this up because of this clip. Your wife Tina is watching, and I'm going to be watching you during this clip because this is one of the longest clips we have to review tonight. And I know you haven't watched this clip. There's a good reason why. And I'm just going to let this clip do the talking.
Okay.
Of course, I'm going to still watch your reaction to it. And
I'm a little nervous, to be honest
you
with you.
should be. You should be
nervous.
because, well, like I said, it is now 7:00. and that's the timestamp up there. It's at 7 o'clock. The sun is starting to set rather quickly. It's overcast, I remember, but we're starting to lose daylight. And there's been talk about us coming back. Coming back at night. Well, let's go to the videotape.
Would you be all right if we came back?
I'm going to
when
watch
it was
you.
Dark. Green for yes, red for no. No.
Straight away. Straight out of the box.
No, you do not want us coming back. You know what? I'm going to ask that again.
This is your influence on me. Rossi.
Just keep asking,
Would you
which
be
I'm cool
okay
with.
if we
Ask
came
until you get a
back
different answer.
and talk to you again when it was dark? Green for yes, red for no. I just want to get a confirmation. Would you be okay if we came back to talk to you when it was dark? Green for yes, red for no. I just need a confirmation. Okay, I'm going to take that as your Okay, now, see, now you're being indecisive. You're saying yes and no.
Who's to say is answering yes is the same as the whoever's answering no?
Yeah.
All right,
92 people out
I'm
there.
going to ask you no.
Right.
It's almost like an
Okay,
argument at this
there's more
point.
no's than yeses here. So I'll ask you one more time, but this time it's going to be a little different. Is it not safe for us to come back at night? Green for yes, it's safe. Red for no, it is not safe.
My wife is giving me the eyes.
And it just beat twice.
And it just beeped twice. It went red and then beeped again before it could even reset.
Yeah. You know, you know what? We appreciate that. We appreciate that.
And I'm saying that to the spirits. I am not saying that to your wife. If I said, hey, I appreciate you to Tina, she would slap me to Second
You
City.
do appreciate her.
Yeah, I do.
Do you want to take a break, Phil, or you? I'm actually feeling hungry.
If we come back tonight, I know you have been thinking of me. Again, it will not be out of not taking your warning seriously. Or if you don't want us to come back, and we do come back for a little while, it's not because we're
Like
trying
sweet
to
talking at this point.
Yep.
Right.
Just wait. Just wait. Watch this.
about this space. And if we do come back after dark, I really doubt we'll be here for a very long time. But it is just to understand the different energies that are here. So I hope you understand that.
Are you okay with that? Green for yes, red for no. Right.
And I want to point something out. And I'm not sure if this is a trick of the light or what. But I'm going to just back this
Okay.
clip up. Back that clip up.
That no, was that you saying no? With the no that pops up on the right-hand side of the screen. Was that one of us saying no?
No, I just left that up there for dramatic effect.
All right.
But I want you to notice something. So you've noticed that the light's been popping up, you know?
Yeah,
You basically
yeah,
ask,
yeah.
no. You basically
Right.
ask it, no, right? But watch how the light pops up this time. So you say, but it's just to understand. I mean, you're basically trying to talk, sweet talk it, as you said. But watch how the light responds to when I say, are you okay with that?
The different energies that are here.
And I'm trying to figure out if this is just a trick of the light, or if this is,
I hope you understand.
I'm seeing something that's happening there.
Are
But
you
watch how
okay
the
with
light
that?
responds.
Green for yes, red for no.
It doesn't pop up. It fades up.
That's weird. That is weird.
Yeah.
I'm getting the tingles
Yeah,
again.
yeah.
We've never seen it fade in like
No.
that.
I have never seen it do that before.
We've
Right now,
used this
Tina is
a
off
lot.
screen. She's just going, no. It said no. They said, you know, is there anything you'd like to add, Mrs. Rossi?
I told you.
Oh my God.
So I will be honest, at this stage, even though the message was coming through loud and clear,
loud and clear. And here's the thing: there's another minute left on this clip. I cut it out.
Yeah.
But there's another minute on this clip of you still trying to sweet talk a yes out of there, and again, but the thing that I do not remember when we were out there was how many times we were told, no, do not come back at night.
yeah, no. And honestly, for me, much like the child, basically that I was sounding like,
Right.
the no was going in one ear and out the other, because I was pretty much dead set on going back at night. And maybe it was some other force that was kind of drawing me in, for lack of a better
You're trying to
word.
sweet talk yourself again.
No, honestly,
no, you were trying to sweet talk
I
yourself
had to go
again.
back. I had to go
I
back.
know you had to go
And
back.
so did we go back?
Yeah, we
did.
went back.
And it was both of us. I didn't go back alone.
No.
Takes two to tango, my friend.
We were told repeatedly, and we were told repeatedly by your wife. I would like to state for the record that when I was coming back from the experience we're about to relive on here, I wanted to talk to my wife about it. I wanted her to stay on the phone with me. But in her own words, and I quote, "What do you want? I'm playing Avengers right now with the Kellys."
Yeah.
Priorities, I guess. So anyway...
Though I think had
Don't you
she-
dare stick up for my wife. Don't you dare stick up for my wife.
Now I'm getting this from your wife, and I don't know what to do.
Why don't we just...
Green for yes,
red for no. I mean, it's a weird thing. We should have listened. And I'm just going to come out and say that, yes, look, it goes back to Ghostbusters.
Mm-hmm.
If you're asked if you're a god, you say yes.
Right.
Well, one of the ghosts that's there was a brigadier general.
Right.
And I in my head canon, that was Brigadier General Rock Cartwright basically saying to us, "No, I'm telling you, I'm pulling rank on you."
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, you get that sense. You do get that
Yeah.
sense.
And while I don't regret the experience that we had, I do regret that we weren't smarter. Because, well, let's so we get out there and let's paint the scene. We get out there to the space. And
Let's back it up even a little further.
Okay,
We made the
okay.
decision. We got some pizza in us.
we did get
It
food.
was by in no means a bribe to go back
No,
out there.
it wasn't.
We
It
were
wasn't.
just eating.
Yeah, right.
And we had a legitimate moment of pause of what are we going to do?
What's our intent? Gonna get out
Yeah,
there.
and
right.
we'll just even before we say, "Are we gonna go?"
Yeah.
We had that moment again where we asked, "Are we gonna do this?
Right.
Are we gonna go?" And I think I was the first to say, "Let's do it. Let's
Right.
Let's
Right.
go." And so we drive back out there. It's the sun has set.
It
hours
is-
ago.
Yeah, yeah.
And we pull.
Timestamp puts us out there at about 9:00.
Yeah.
9:00.
Yeah, felt much later
Yeah.
when we were out there. So we drive back up Mount Weather, that winding road, and we pull off to the side. And honestly, I wanted you to be comfortable. I did not want to push you too far.
You weren't punking me when
And
you turned the lights off in the car.
So
you were not punking me.
That was
I know
honestly so I turned the lights off
Yeah.
in the car and I said,
It's-
just so you know,
Yeah, it's
this is
dark.
what it's going to be like out there. And I
It's-
turned off the lights in the car and we were plunged into darkness. I said, something along the lines, are you sure you're okay with this?
Yeah, and
And at that point,
I was fine.
Yeah.
I was fine. And again, it's that kind of country darkness. It's
Yeah.
that darkness where you are not near any small town. You are not near any. It is dark.
we're on the side of a mountain
Right.
in the trees.
Right. And we head out there. We've got our gear, and we are fine. Turns out I dropped another alien quote while we were heading out there.
Yes, you did.
And
It's branded into our.
it
us
is.
at this
It
point.
is. And we get out there. We set up the gear. Everything feels fine up to this point. And then I said, you know what? I'm going to be the brave one because I didn't realize this until I was looking at the footage. I was the brave one, and I started the
Yeah,
questions.
you were ready to roll. And
Yeah.
I said, have
And
at
the
it.
minute I finished the first question, something changed.
And to back it up to when we were walking in, what I was sensing was when we crossed into there was like a big mound of dirt basically, and when we crossed past that, I was great going up the hill, and I was okay after we crossed that threshold, but I felt the change in energy from when we were outside the clearing to when we were in the clearing.
Right.
And I knew without a doubt at that very moment that something was going on there. But
Right.
I still felt okay. I was thinking in my head, okay, it feels weird out here, but I'm okay. I feel good.
I was, like I said, I was fine until we started asking questions in earnest, and that was when the whole mood changed.
It was remarkable the way,
and you can't really describe that, but we did capture some stuff. Now this was after we had repositioned ourselves, and instead of being behind the camera, we actually stepped to where Tina and I originally were in the day during the day. So now it's us. We're looking at the camera. Behind us, though, are the woods.
nothing but woods.
Nothing but woods.
So, because the rock
Yeah.
outcrop is ahead of us, you can't. It's
And
beyond
there-
some
and
more
there's-
trees.
and, yeah, there,
but
there-
then
there's the
road.
rock out. There's the
Yeah,
rock.
And then there's the road.
There's the woods. There's the camera. Here's us. Here's nothing but forest behind us. Nothing but mountain weather. And again, for this one, you may want to listen with headphones.
Yeah.
But we do have captions for what we picked up, which I must have watched this clip several times over.
If you want to talk to us, you can make the lights of that device go red or green.
I'm just getting chills right now. The fact that it sang it. And then this.
Is that you talking to us?
And I think this captures the
You
entire
want to talk to us?
the entire tonal change.
Yeah.
But
Make
then we
the
got one
device
more
go
thing here.
red
One more
for
thing.
No, green for yes.
The fact that we had a voice singing to us, and the fact that we had that response of, well, yes, and then immediately no.
And here's the thing too, because in that clip you hear me saying, I'm just something along the lines of I just heard a voice.
Yeah.
Because at that stage, because once we had moved to that other side, we had been interacting a little bit more, and I was hearing all kinds of voices at that point, all around us. I did not, and I
heard
make me
was
feel exactly comfortable hearing these voices. It wasn't like the other disembodied voices that we've heard, say, in Gettysburg, that we've heard with our own ears.
Right.
There was just something about these sounds that I was hearing, and I don't think it was my imagination. One, because some of the voices that come through on here were what I heard.
Well, like this one right here, Are you one spirit and many spirits? Green for one, red for
Yeah.
Now I remember
that was actually so that was me saying, "There it is again."
Okay, because I only heard myself. I heard myself whisper to you.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Because because I heard it again. It had actually that tone to it, but I didn't make out that it said several until I listened to it. But at the time, I heard that kind of.
And the thing is, the thing about this too is that there was all I could hear were the crickets.
Yeah,
the crickets and cicadas, and that's all I heard. Now this was another one you picked up.
Yeah, so this is a good headphone one. This I recorded that I didn't hear during my first review. It was when I was going through some of the video to see what I might have EVPs of that I caught on the recorders, and just to get content over to you. And again, I was listening in the headphones when I caught this, and it's not because it's a quiet EVP. I just think it's that the frequency that this voice is at, it doesn't project through the speakers so well because it's competing with everything else.
Yeah,
I found it stood out much more in the
that's
headphones.
the perils of an outdoor investigation, because now we're competing with the nightlife.
Right.
But even that being said, I would give this a solid B.
Yeah.
As far as EVPs go, because of, and I'll tell you my thoughts about it.
I would love to hear them.
Yeah. Because, yeah.
So I tell you, it did. Maybe it's where I'm sitting, but it jumped out at me from over here.
What's that?
The daddy jumped right out at me sitting over here.
And the thing is that for me, when I heard that, I was like, yeah, that's the sound of a child. And there was a child on the manifest, about 3.
Yeah.
The kid's name was Benji, and again, it's that question, it's that lilt. And I know you'd mentioned to me while we were out there that you were hearing things, and it was really throwing you off. And in a weird way, I was jealous because I didn't hear that.
Yeah.
Now, that could have been because I was focused on the flux.
And I will say this, though. It was very disorientating, again, hearing these voices, but I started to feel that sort of washy kind of feeling out there as well. And I want to say one comment about the clip that you just played, with the little kind of question voice sounding like a young child.
Yeah.
And again, this is the first time we've really talked in depth about this particular clip.
Yeah.
But man, does that again make me feel really just sad, because with our children when they were young and they're asking us a question in that voice or saying our name with that voice,
you stop everything you do.
Exactly.
You stop everything you do and you're like, what's going on?
Something is wrong.
And but that's the other problem about all of these clips at night. There are conflicting energies there. There are polar opposites out there. We've got voices that are calling out to us. There are also voices that are somewhat condescending to us. I mean, they're singing red, red, green, green, and then you ask, "Is that you talking to us?" Well, yes, no. I mean, there is a theory. There's a theory that, and then after all that, we said, "Do you want to talk to us?" And then the green light goes off.
Yeah,
the green light goes off for yes.
And I'm just gonna throw this out here right now too. We are hearing these voices and we're interpreting them as what we believe was communicating with us.
Yeah.
But there's no evidence that that was indeed a little 3-year-old sad little boy. It could have been something mimicking there's so many different things that could have been going on out there.
I wasn't necessarily ready to talk about this in this season, but there was going to be this little mini investigation that my wife and I were going to do at our last writers retreat. And she had the best way I can describe it is, and when she's on the show, I'm going to let her go into details about who she had the dream about, and the importance of her.
Yes.
But this matriarch of the family reached out to her in sleep, and it just felt a little too coincidental, because she apparently said two things to her in the dream. She said, one, just because something appears nice, it doesn't mean it is. And the other thing she said was, don't open doors that you can't close. And yeah, when we were out there at night, that's what it felt like. It felt like we had opened a door and I wasn't sure if we could close it. And then we have this moment.
Yeah.
Then we have this moment. And this was the moment where I said, the flux is not going off, but it's talking to us.
And I want to, what is
talking to
also important to note too? I mean, I don't know if you remember, but just from the lights of our recorders, I mean, there were bugs all over. Like zipping around.
Yeah.
And the flux was not going off.
No.
Right? But we saw and felt the bugs.
Yeah.
I mean, a few times I saw them like landing and flying around the
Yeah.
flux, and it didn't go off.
No.
And so now if you think back to the daytime where we
yeah.
didn't see any bugs
and it's
whatsoever,
going off left
and it's
and right.
going off left
but that's
and right.
the other thing too, and that's part of what, for me, the flux earns its gold star, because it was going off left and right during the day.
Yeah.
Here we are at night. It's only gone off once.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Sometimes a device not going off can be just as telling.
But I'm going to say this. It didn't have to go off. Just for this moment alone.
Yeah, I'm trying really hard to take a deep breath and relax. Hang on, I'm just going to double down. Are we safe here with you tonight? Green, yes. Red, no. You can be honest. Are we safe with you right now? Green, yes. Red, no.
Yeah. And
Did you hear that in my voice? Yeah, it's time.
well, in that moment, it's almost like when that thunderstorm's about to open up.
Yeah.
The energy was approaching this like peak of this crescendo.
It's critical.
And we both knew that
We're done.
we're done.
We're done.
Yeah,
we're done. We need to leave yesterday.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at the timestamp right now. It's 9:48. if I remember correctly, when the earliest clip was around 9:30,
Yeah.
and I thought I'd been out there for at least half an hour.
I
least
believe,
half an hour.
according to my recorders, like the length of the full
Yeah.
length file,
Yeah.
it was about 13 minutes and
Somewhere
50
between
seconds.
13 and 16
and
minutes, yeah.
I felt like it was 45 minutes at
Easily.
least
Easily.
that we were out
Easily.
there.
And the fact that we never got an answer to that question answered the question.
That was 100% our answer. to
And
that
while
question.
I'm again gonna say, I wish we had been smarter, and just heeded the warning of that they've gotten earlier. At the same time, I will argue that we were smart enough to say at that point, I'm not ready to face whatever's here.
That's the thing. And I stand by our decision to go out there. I think it was a valuable experience on many levels.
But we are not going back. We are not going back.
I will say this, in reviewing the evidence and going back through the experience of the nighttime, I'm now leaning a bit more toward red for no.
Thank you. Okay. So we got a lot to unpack
Yes.
about the crash site of TWA Flight 514, but I think it's safe to say
You're haunted.
Now, here's some things that I have issues with. And I get it. You know, you have land, you want to sell it, you want to develop it. Where I have a problem with this particular place, this private property, because that's what it is. It is private property now. They were building a house. I know we can't go back there. It's not just a matter of not going back there because for safety purposes, but also because we could be breaking the law.
Right. And that's, the first rule of old spirits.
Yes,
You don't break the law.
Yeah, exactly. That is the top priority. If you don't have permission, you're not there.
No
You're not
investigation is worth breaking
there. No.
the law.
In the documentary Diverted, you see a memorial. You see on the slab of rock, you see a memorial bolted into the ground.
Oh, yeah.
It is a big. It's got all the names of everybody there. If you do a search for Memorial TWA Flight 514, pictures show up.
Comes up in the pictures, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's not there anymore.
Yeah. And were you able to figure out?
I
where it is?
have tried to find out in various internet search strings. I've even reached out to a local news chapter to try to find out if they want to do some better investigating that I can do, because all I can see is up to 2015 there was a monument there.
Yeah. And then it's after 2015 that it's not shown up.
There have been several paranormal groups that have gone out there.
Yeah.
In 2017, there was a guy who went out there in 2016. They take shots of the rock and it's bare.
Yeah.
It has been, something has happened to the memorial.
Yeah.
And I'm really hoping that it found a home somewhere, because
That's what I'm hoping.
well,
Because the alternative is...
the alternative is they got rid of it, and the fact that there are 92 souls that lost their lives there, and this particular crash had a cascade of different things that happened because of it. They changed the way the planes and air traffic control talk to each other. They made ground proximity equipment a standard. It wasn't a standard in '74.
Mind blowing.
Yeah, and then of course news media, they had to take a step back and go, well, how are we covering these events? Because a lot of people took umbrage when we said no one of importance was on the flight. When you had the first African American that had been promoted to brigadier general, you had the Federal Bureau of Investigation's third female agent on that flight. You had friends, you had loved ones,
family,
you had children.
You're
going
to tell someone that their parent
wasn't
important.
Wasn't important.
Yeah.
Wasn't important.
Yeah. So it changed a lot for the better at a very high cost.
But this monument is gone. This monument is gone. Now, and I want to make this very clear. We are not advocating that you get in touch with whoever is living on this site and saying, where is the monument? Yeah. We are not telling you to do that.
Because they probably don't know.
This particular, along with the fact that no one seems to know what happened to this memorial, which is a travesty in itself.
Yeah.
I think the other takeaway from this, for me, was not all investigations are going to be fun. You know?
Yeah.
It wasn't Belgrove. It wasn't Dunlora. It wasn't Gettysburg. There was something sinister out there. Something absolutely sinister.
Sure felt like it.
Yeah.
Sure felt like it.
And what about you?
An investigation might lead down a darker path that you're not expecting and that you can't really even fathom, because every investigation is a different experience.
Absolutely.
Every investigation we've been on has been a different experience. Mm-hmm. And I would hazard to say, these dark places can certainly catch you off guard. And it was something that I had talked about with guests on the podcast, but it's not something that you can really appreciate until you experience one of those gripping moments of just knowing that you are not in a good place in that moment for whatever reason, whatever energy's interacting with you. It's almost indescribable.
And I would add to that that your instincts matter.
Trust your intuition.
Yeah. If you think that there's something off, there's something wrong, you need to pull the ejection handle and get out of there. Your instincts do matter in paranormal investigation, and they're there for a reason.
Yeah. And then to be slightly controversial along those lines, my intuition led me to taking us back there, and I feel like on a lot of different levels this was an important experience for us to have.
I totally agree.
And that shan't be repeated.
We don't have to repeat it. We do not have to repeat it. Nope. I totally agree. Like I said, I don't regret the experience. But I can't say that we weren't warned.
That's a good point.
Yeah,
and here, you know what? And then I will say another takeaway is that when the spirits and your wife are saying, "Hey, I got a bad feeling about this drop," that's not what they say really about every drop.
No. They don't say that on. No, they don't.
Yeah.
They don't. And they're not 4 weeks and out. You know.
Listen to your team.
Yeah.
Listen to your team. You might find yourself in a situation where something is trying to lead you down that dark path, and for whatever reason it's attached to you or it's singling you out. And so in those moments, rely on the people that you're investigating with.
This 5-Minute Paranormal is all about closure. As you know, our most recent investigation dealt with the tragedy of TWA Flight 514. And during that investigation, especially in preparation for filming the episode, Phil and I realized how much we had actually faced. It made a very personal impact on both of us. The good, the bad, and the downright terrifying. As of filming today, we returned to the TWA crash site. Something we've never done, go back to a place where we had previously investigated. And we decided today we were going to close the door that we opened. But not before letting the possible 92 souls that occupy this space, that their story was being told. We just wanted to let them know that, we remember.
outside for actually, first things first. This is the first time we have gone back to a site since the investigation. And we came out here in August. And I just want to let you know that the story is being told. Paid respects. And we just wanted to let you know that you've made quite an impression on us.
Yeah, we really feel the time we spent here and going through and listening to everything you recorded. Voices. So, it's very connected. We talked to that day.
We want to let you know how big of a story we think. You too. But we wanted to let you know that we are telling your story, and it matters a lot to us. We also brought this. This is our tribute. On this little drive is our episode, and we're just going to leave it here. Well, this isn't a long visit, not by any shot. We're not here to do any more investigation. We're not here to do any more invasion of anyone's space.
I just want to say thank you for letting us tell your story.
And that we haven't forgotten.
I haven't forgotten.
This 5-Minute Paranormal returns to TWA Flight 514 one more time. In particular, this moment from our investigation. In the documentary Diverted, you see a memorial. You see on the slab of rock, you see a memorial bolted into the ground.
Oh, yeah.
It is a big, it's got all the names of everybody there. If you do a search for Memorial TWA Flight 514, pictures show
Comes up in the pictures, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's not there anymore.
And were you able to figure out?
I have tried to find out in various internet search strings. I've even reached out to a local news chapter to try to find out if they want to do some better investigating than I can do, because all I can see is up to 2015 there was a monument there.
Yeah. And then it's after 2015 that it's not showing up.
There have been several paranormal groups that have gone out there.
Yeah.
In 2017, there was a guy who went out there in 2016. They take shots of the rock and it's bare.
Yeah.
It has been, something has happened to the memorial.
Yeah.
And I'm really hoping that it found a home somewhere, because
that's what I'm hoping.
Well,
because the alternative is
they got rid of it. In putting together content for our TikTok channel, our head researcher, Pip Ballantyne, came across a discussion concerning Flight 514. On this 5-Minute Paranormal, I am thrilled to announce that the memorial has been found. At the TWA Museum in Kansas City, Missouri, resides the memorial to the lives lost on December 1st, 1974. It is looked after and cared for. OSI would like to thank Pamela R. Blasham, director of the TWA Museum, for the photos and for her time and attention on this matter. While we still don't know what remains at the crash site itself, the mystery of the memorial is, at the very least, solved. that is going to wrap up our episode on TWA Flight 514. We really appreciate you all watching the content, enjoying the content with us. Make sure to leave a comment. If you've got a question, if you've got a request from us here over at Old Spirits, please feel free to drop us a line. You can also visit us on TikTok and Instagram at oldspiritsinvestigations.com. Please make sure to like and subscribe and ensure your notifications are set so that you know whenever we put up new content. Again, thank you so much for joining us at Old Spirits Investigations.
And we'll see you in the field.